What's going on, baseball fans? How you doing? So in this video, I'm going to go over 10 players that I think are going to bounce back in 2023. Let's go talk about it. Before I get started, if you are new to the channel, think about subscribing down below. Hit the like button, the bell button, the share button. Hit all the buttons. Starting off my list, I have Ronald Acuna Jr. You might be thinking, why is Ronald Acuna Jr. on this list? He's really good. Well, yes, he is really good, but the numbers last year weren't the typical numbers that we're used to seeing. Remember, he did miss some time in the beginning of the year. He was coming back from ACL surgery, so overall he played 119 games, but if we look at the numbers, they were down from the previous year in 2021 before he got hurt. He was on pace to possibly win an MVP that year. I picked him to win the MVP in 2021, and that prediction was looking really good until he had that horrendous injury. But from 2021 to 2022, the batting average went down, the on-base went down, the slugging went down a ton, 596 to 413. Look at the WRC plus, 157 to 114. Now, not necessarily bad numbers by any means. He did have 29 stolen bases, but not the numbers that we're used to seeing with him. However, with Ronald Acuna Jr., there is still a lot to like, and I do think he's going to have a really good year in 2023. Still got a lot of reds here. Sure, the strikeout percentage didn't rank necessarily great, but with Ronald Acuna Jr., this guy has just shown how good he is, and I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. There were some, weird rumors this offseason that maybe he was requesting a trade. I don't know what was going on with that, but I think he's going to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder. One thing I also did notice with him is the launch angle was really down this past year. 18.6, 18.2 in 2020, 2021, all the way down to 10.8. So maybe there could be a bit of a mechanical fix with him that can maybe help him get the ball into the air a little bit more, maybe start hitting some more home runs. But Ronald Acuna Jr., I think he's going to have himself a big year in 2023. At number 9, I have Alex Wood. Over 26 starts last year, he did not have the best looking ERA, 5.10. However, the FIP and the xFIP looked a lot better. A 3.76 FIP along with a 3.41 xFIP. If we also take a look at the BABIP, it was a 315 last year. That's pretty high, a little higher than league average. So I do think that can come down a little bit, especially considering the xFIP was a 3.41. Taking a look at Alex Wood on StatCast, he's always been someone that keeps the walks down right near the top 10% last year. The strikeouts were, right in the middle, healthy percentage. Chase rate, healthy percentage. I think Alex Wood, I think he's not going to be an ace by any means, but I think he's going to have some better numbers last year. The more projected numbers painted a better picture for him. So I do think that's going to look a little better overall. But another thing with Alex Wood as well, he's a quick worker. He's always had a pretty quick tempo on the mound. And you got the pitch clock this coming year. I definitely think he's going to benefit from that. I think Alex Wood, that ERA in the 5s, I think that's going to come down this year in 2023. At number 8, I have KETEL MARTE. If the Diamondbacks want to be in any kind of contention in 2023, they're going to need this guy to bounce back here. He did not have a great looking slash line last year. 137 games, that's definitely more than we're used to seeing with him. He's been on and off with the injuries, especially the hamstring, but that is the most games he has played since 2019. He went off that year, a 6.2 Fangraph WAR. Hasn't really been able to get to those same kind of numbers since then. But with KETEL MARTE, taking a look at StatCast, he still ranks really high in max exit velocity, still ranks really well in average exit velocity, expected batting average, hard hit percentage, still looking pretty good. The K percentage, walk percentage, whiff percentage, all looking really good. With KETEL MARTE, again, I think just the inconsistency with being able to stay on the field, that hamstring has been plaguing him. But another thing also I want to point out, he had a 276 BABIP last year. That is pretty under league average. So I definitely think you're going to see him trend more, maybe not back to those 2019 numbers, but I definitely think if he can stay healthy, he has the potential to be a 4-win player. At number 7, I have TREVOR Rogers. TREVOR Rogers really fell off last year after finishing 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting in 2021 behind Jonathan India. But with the Marlins, they traded away Pablo Lopez, so TREVOR Rogers, he is firmly in this rotation. And in my opinion, it's a good-looking rotation with Alcantara, Cueto, Luzardo, Cabrera, and Rogers right now in the 5th spot. I think Trevor Rogers can absolutely get back to those 2021 numbers. If we go take a look here with Trevor Rogers, ERA looked absolutely horrendous at a 5.47, but the FIP was okay, right around league average of 4.36. The xFIP was a little bit better at 4.11. The one thing with Trevor Rogers, he needs to get back to those strikeout numbers. The strikeouts were down last year. The walks were still around the same, but he was absolutely leaving balls over the middle of the plate, giving up over 1 home run per 9. So I definitely think Trevor Rogers, he was also dealing with some injuries last year. If we go take a look, however, at the last few games that he pitched before getting shut down for the remainder of the season with a lat injury, he was actually looking really good. Against Tampa Bay, he only gave up a run on 5 hits over 6. Against Philly, he gave up 3 earned with 5 hits over 6. Against Texas, he went into the 7th inning, only gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs. And the strikeouts were looking pretty good. 9 Ks against the Rangers, 8 Ks against the Phillies. So he was showing signs of turning around, but unfortunately he had to miss his last couple of starts. But I definitely think Trevor Rogers, I think, this guy's only 25 years old. I definitely think he's going to have himself a pretty solid year this year. At number 6, I have Sean Manaea. Padres fans were all too excited about trading for Sean Manaea last year, and he ended up having a season that was no bueno. If you take a look here, 30 games, 28 starts, 158 innings pitched, a 4.96 ERA, a 4.53 FIP. Man, oh man, not a great year, especially with, what he was doing in Oakland. He was really solid in Oakland. However, I do think he's going to have a lot more success with the Giants. If you take a look here, sure, the ERA and the FIP did not look all that great, but the xFIP did look better. He was in the high 3s, a 3.96 xFIP. I think he's going to have a better time in Oracle Park. I think that's the more spacious park, I think, will work better with him. And if we take a look here, we got a lot of blues, but the one thing I am seeing, he was in the top 2% when it came to extension. I mentioned that with Trevor Rogers being able to release the ball closer to the plate. And the Giants, they've had good history. They've had a good track record of getting these guys turned around. I think they're going to figure it out with him. He said last year, he wasn't as consistent as he wanted to be. In this offseason, he's really just focused. He's got tunnel vision. And I think Sean Manaea, I think he's going to have himself a good season with the Giants. I think they'll get him back on track. At number 5, I have Javier BAEZ. Man, oh man, he got himself a fat contract with the Tigers before 2022, but that first season was absolutely abysmal. If we go take a look here, 144 games, only hit 238 with a 278 on base and a 393 slugging. Now, if we go take a look at his career numbers, his career batting average is 260, so that was way down last year. On base has never really been very good with Javier BAEZ, but that was also down. Now, the one thing with Javier BAEZ is he is known for power, driving in runs, had a 464 career slugging, and last year that went down to 393. Even the WRC plus, very low, 102 for his career, down to 90. So obviously the offense was just not there for him last year. The glove was still really solid. Now, he did play 144 games, but he was dealing with injuries all season. So I think a healthier Javier BAEZ, that's going to help him a lot in 2023. Now, if we go take a look at some of the advanced numbers, we do see a lot of blues here, but the max exit velocity was still looking really good with him. So we know that he can just hit the crap out of the ball still. Also with the Tigers, they brought in some new hitting coaches. I definitely think maybe, get back to the basics, just kind of get back on track. A fresh start with some new coaches, new voices in his ear. I think that'll definitely get him back on track. Now, I'm not saying, he's going to be, one of the best players in the game, but I think we could see him getting back to some of these numbers he was putting up in 2021, like a 3 to 4 win player. I definitely think that's reasonable. So let's see if Javier BAEZ can get that bat back on track. At number 4, I have Jose Berrrios. The Toronto Blue Jays, in my opinion, are looking really good for 2023, but they're going to need Jose Berrrios to have a bounce-back season. 32 starts last year, 172 innings pitched, but man, look at that ERA, a 5.23, a FIP of 4.55. The xFIP was a little better at 4.21, but Jose Berrrios, he's going to have to get himself back on track. Now, the walks are still looking really good with him. 2.11 in 2021, 2.35 in 2022. However, look at the home runs. 1 home run per 9 in 2021, to 1.5 in 2022. So he's going to need to do something a little different. Now, towards the end of the season last year, he was throwing more sinkers than the fastball. If we go take a look here at the fastball with him, it is not a very good pitch for him. That was used right around 28% of the time last year. But take a look at the run value of the four-seamer. Man, -7, or not negative, but 17 with the run value. That is horrible. Players are hitting 349 against this four-seamer last year, a 618 slugging. I don't know. They might have to just get rid of that pitch with him, or just not really use it all that often. Maybe just stick to using the sinkers, because that had a -4 run value. Now, sure, they were hitting it quite well, a 317 batting average. So, you know, I don't know, but it did have a -4 run value. So I'd rather probably just stick with that instead of the four-seamer. I think with him, this is a guy who has a track record. You know, if you go back to some of these seasons, 2018, 2019, you know, short season 2020, he was looking okay. But then 2021, he was looking really good. So they got to just get back to, you know, kind of what he was doing there. Maybe just cut down on those fastballs a little bit. Because if we take a look here at some of the advanced numbers, he's still, like I said, keeping the walks down. He's still getting guys to chase. The velocity is still okay. Extension is okay. I think there's still a good picture here with Jose Berrios. I think last year, just a blip in the radar. I think he's going to get back to being a bit more consistent this year with the Blue Jays, and they're going to need it if they want to go for a championship in 2023. At number 3, I have Jesse Winker. Mariners fans were very excited about trading for him along with Eugenio Suarez before the 2022 season, but they couldn't wait to get rid of the guy after the year that he had last year. Going to the Milwaukee Brewers, Colton Wong going back to the Seattle Mariners. Now, with Jesse Winker, I think he's a really interesting case. He was really good with the Reds in 2021, hitting a lot of home runs, getting on base. Now, he was definitely a lot better against righties that year, not so much against lefties. But Jesse Winker, he kind of just fell off last year. If you take a look, 136 games, had 14 home runs. That's not the worst number, but he only hit 219. Only had a 344 slugging. However, one thing that is still promising with Jesse Winker is he can still get on base, a 344 on base. So that, to me, I think that leaves a little bit of hope with him. And if we take a look here, we do got some Reds. He doesn't chase the ball really at all. He's very patient up there. And like I said, he walks a ton. He doesn't swing and miss a whole lot. I think with Jesse Winker, I think it's just more, in my opinion, more of a mechanical thing. Now, if we go take a look at some batted ball statistics here. Take a look here at 2021. He was getting under the ball 20% of the time, and that jumped up to 31.5% of the time. His barrels went down completely. I definitely think, to me, this is more of a mechanical thing. I think the Brewers think they can get this guy back on track mechanically. Again, there's still a lot here to like with Jesse Winker. I think you just got to get him right. But however, another positive thing, and Jolly Olive pointed this out in a video that he did on Jesse Winker. If you take a look here, he was actually a lot better on the road last year, hitting 232 on the road compared to 203 at home. 10 home runs compared to 4, had 34 RBIs compared to 19. So that's a little hope right there as well. I think Jesse Winker, I think he's going to get himself back on track a bit more with the Brewers in 2023. At number 2, I have Cody Bellinger, the newest Chicago Cub, Cody Bellinger. This is an interesting one. With Cody Bellinger, we all know, former MVP, he was absolutely fantastic with the Dodgers in 2019, a 7.7 Fangraph WAR. I mean, look at these numbers. Hit 305, 406 on base, 629 slugging, a 161 WRC+. He was good in the field too, 47 home runs, 115 RBIs, even 15 stolen bases. What a year for Cody Bellinger in 2019. However, he has completely fallen off since then. I mean, my goodness, look at the last 3 seasons when it comes to batting average. 239 in 2020, 165 in 2021, 210 last year. On base has completely gone down the tubes. Had 19 home runs last year, so there is something a little positive there. 14 stolen bases with Cody Bellinger. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get back to what he was doing in 2019, but I think he can get back to being maybe a 3 to a 4 Fangraph WAR kind of a player. If we take a look at StatCast, the average exit velocity was still looking pretty good with him, right in that, almost in the top 40% last year. Still very good defensively, good speed, and if you take a look at the barrels, in the top 50% when it came to barrels. So Cody Bellinger with the Cubs, they were talking, talking about how, they want Cody Bellinger to approach this offseason. They're talking about kind of just keeping it simple. They're not really messing with him too much. They gave him a couple of things to work on, but they just want him to come to camp, stress-free. I think the Cubs, a change of scenery can definitely help as well. Some new voices in his ear. Sometimes that's the best medicine, just a new voice, a new perspective. But Cody Bellinger, I definitely think there is a bit of a mechanical thing going on. If you take a look here, his under percentage has been really high compared to what he was doing in 2019 and 2020, up to 36.6% last year in 21, 35.8% last year. So I definitely think, he definitely has that big kind of like an uppercut sort of swing. I think if he can just get that a little bit more level, get back to what he was doing in 2019. Now, if you take a look, that was the year where he had the lowest under percentage in his career. So we got to get back more to what he was doing there. And also, with Cody Bellinger, health has been a bit of a thing with him. He's had a lot of trouble staying on the field. When you're not having that consistency, being on the field, it just completely messes with everything. Instead of focusing in the cage, working on mechanics, you're having to deal, focusing on rehab. So I think with Bellinger, just staying healthy, I think that's going to be a big thing for him. He just needs more consistency, change the scenery, maybe a couple of tweaks mechanically, and I think that could go a long way for him in 2023. And at number 1, I have Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo is going to have himself a good season in 2023. I am calling it now. Look at how bad this slash line looked last year. Hit 160, a 280 on base, a 357 slugging. However, still a bright side with Gallo. The power still looks like it's there. Now, not as many home runs as he's hit in the past, 19 home runs, so he's definitely going to have to, tap into something there. But if we take a look at some of the advanced numbers here on StatCast, average exit velocity still looks pretty good. Max exit velocity looks great. Hard hit percentage looks great. Barrels look great. Also walks a lot too, in the top 5% in walk percentage last year. Doesn't really chase a whole lot either. He's also still good in the field. A very good outfielder jump, arm strength looking very good. But the big thing with Joey Gallo is there is no more shift. I know it was a bit of a joke. Last year he was kind of mentioning, if he didn't have the shift, he'd be a lot better. And people were getting onto him for that a little bit. But now, here we go. You don't got the shift anymore. So let's see what you can do. Obviously, this guy pretty much pulls everything. But, I think with the Twins, this is an organization that really values those power numbers. They signed him rather quick, early December, way before a lot of other players came off the board. So the Twins, I definitely think they see something here. I think they can get him back on track. And obviously, the hard hit potential with him is still there. I think maybe just fine tune a couple of things with him. Obviously now we don't have the shift. I think that's going to work in his favor. I think a lot more balls are going to fall into play. And, to me, I think there's also a bit of a mental thing with it too. Knowing that there's going to be, more space out there for the ball to fall in, more balls falling into play, it just gives you a little more confidence. I think with Gallo last year, I think he was pressing a little bit, in especially a culture like within the Yankees organization. Yankee fans really demand a lot there. Definitely probably some pressure was getting to him a little bit. I think going to Minnesota, going to kind of get away from that noise. I think this guy's going to have a really good year. I think he's going to be really solid. I'm expecting 30 home runs from him this year, some RBIs. I think he's going to be a good addition for the Twins lineup. But that's my list. Tell me what you think down below in the comments. Are there any other players that you think will have bounce back seasons this year? Let me know down below in the comments. But that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.